That should be better. All right, guys. I just went live now. Nobody's online yet. I just really wanted to give you guys an update what's going on with my truck and all that. I'm gonna wait for some of you guys to come online though, and then I'll talk some about what's going on here. Let's see, I got one online. Just wait for some more to show up. I don't expect too many to come online because I know Scotty is streaming, and I'll probably go watch the stream myself after I'm done with this. It's up, Tom, Jim, James, Lugnut. How you guys all doing? So yeah, I'm in Vernon, California right now. We're just east of downtown LA. I got basically downtown LA right over that way behind me to a little bit to the north and west of me. Yeah, this is not my truck. I'm using a loader truck. My truck is still in the shop. And that was the main reason why I'm doing this stream. I don't have a really good setup here for streaming my trips, so I'm not going to be streaming at all while I'm in this truck, and I don't expect to be in it very long. Because my camera, my phone mounts that I use in my normal truck, they're basically adhered on. Like I have, I don't know if I can. All right, yeah, I might be able to switch. Let me see if I can switch the camera view on this one. I don't know, because I'm on my tablet right now. I don't know. Let's see. I'm not even sure if I even have an extra camera view on here. All right. How about I'll forget it. Anyway. Yeah, because I normally live stream through my phone, but this time I'm just on my tablet. Normally, when I'm streaming live, my phone sits on a mount right up on top of my dash, and that mount is actually kind of not really glued on, but yeah, I guess you could say it's glued on. So it's a pain in the butt to pull it off, stick it to a truck that I'm not even going to be in for more than a week, and then have to put it back in my own truck when I'm ready to get back in it. So I decided I'm going to just go ahead and leave it there. I have another mount, phone mount, that sits up on the kind of my instrument panel area. But that also sticks to basically a disc, or suctions onto a disc that sticks onto the panel. So it just seemed like it was more tedious and not really worth it. And like I say, I'm not going to be in this truck a hell of a long time, thankfully. Because I'll tell you what, just going from our drop yard in San Bernardino, where I got this truck from, to Colton to hang out for a few hours while I was waiting for my time to start my shift and come down here to pick up my load. I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of auto shift. I know a lot of people like auto shift. It's a great option for a lot of people. It's just, I'm kind of an OCD guy, and I like to have control, and I can't stand the way the truck shifts. It picks its own. I don't like when it decides to change gears, what gear it decides to change to, and all that kind of stuff. And it seems a little weak too. Like when I was on my way over here, I was coming across the 60 freeway and going up a hill and in 10th gear, and it was having a hard time even climbing the hill. And this is the same truck that Jesse and Diane Wyatt were driving. Jesse's on here now, as you see. He and his wife Diane were both using this truck as a loaner truck as well, just before I got in this one, and while their own truck was in the shop. And they were telling me, Diane was just telling me this afternoon about how, because I met up with them at the drop yard, and then as well at over in Colton at the truck stop we were both at. And Diane was telling me about how they had like a 20,000 pound load with this truck, and they were barely able to do like 30 something miles an hour on the steep hills, which is pretty weak. 20,000 pound load. My truck, at least, I don't know about these, but My truck normally can do maybe 40s with a 20,000 pound load on a 6% grade. 20,000 is not going to slow me down a hell of a lot. 30,000, I'm normally going to expect to get down into that 30 something range. 34 miles an hour usually is what I cruise at in my truck, going up steep hills with that. Because it's the right combination of RPM and speed. Where I get, I'm thinking with fuel efficiency, but also not trying to go too slow. And then heavier loads, like when I'm up around 79,000 pound gross, which is about a 43, 44,000, even 45,000 pound load, then I'm normally going to be up at down at like 20, mid 20s, like 24, 25 miles an hour, at least in my truck. So I'm kind of expecting to have some problems with this one. This is, at least on the load assignment, it's saying it's only going to be 34, 35,000 pound load that I'm picking up. It's going to be going to Cedar Falls, Iowa, which is just on the northwest side of Waterloo. Waterloo, like, where the hell's that at? Waterloo is northeast of Des Moines. And Carl, I don't know if he's probably busy driving. But Carl is Carl Green. He lives over in Omaha, and I will be going through the Omaha and Council Bluffs area. So there's a chance I might end up, depending on what time I go through there and all that, might end up getting a chance to hook up with him briefly, and on my way over to the Waterloo area. So that's basically what's going on, at least in the interim. Now I want the nitty-gritty details of what the hell's going on with my truck. Okay, so some of you guys who were in the Critter Corner chat, or maybe you might have been watching Scotty's stream yesterday when I mentioned in Critter Corner, and then the word got out on the Scotty's chat channel about kind of an idea. But I'm going to give you guys the full detail. I turned my truck in to the dealer last weekend for power steering fluid leak. I was having to replace the power steering fluid every about 200 miles. And it actually got worse because when I first started having the problem, it was about every 300 miles. Then they replaced the power steering hoses. Because those of you guys who were watching my live stream earlier this month when I went from Las Vegas down to Phoenix, actually showed on that stream, you could see the fluid leaking from about where my hoses were at, where they hook up to the power steering pump. So they replaced the hoses, still leaking, but now I can't figure out where the leak's going. And that was what was mostly going on anyway. Most of the time I couldn't see the leak. And on top of that, the mechanic said, well, we didn't see any power steering fluid leaking, but we did see an oil leak. I'm like, well, here's the problem. I'm not changing my oil. I mean, I'm not having to replace my oil at all. The only time I'm getting oil at all is when I'm doing my regular PMs every 50,000 miles. Otherwise, I never have to service my oil, and I do check it regularly. It's always serviced okay. And I had been seeing an oil-looking leak. But I think what really was going on there was my power steering fluid getting into the engine block and leaking back out through some, so through a hole that the oil itself couldn't quite get out of. So, needless to say, how's my power steering fluid getting into the engine? So what happened was, all right, my power steering pump, you guys might have seen on that live stream. I think it was about an hour and a half or so into that particular stream, if you want to go back into that one. The pump itself is mounted right between my engine and the subframe. And in a small area, it's real hard. It's a pain in the ass to look at. And what it is, it's driven by the air compressor. And it turned out the bearing on the air compressor took a dump. It came apart, whatever. And so the air compressor basically failed, at least on the end of it that drives the power steering pump. Took the power steering pump out with it, which I just got replaced in November. Yeah. And we'll get onto that question about the warranty thing. I'm sure some of you guys are wondering about that. Well, anyway, the bearing ended up backfeeding, well, the pieces of bearing as well as the power steering fluid ended up going through into the engine through the oil system. And yeah, and I think I'm kind of wondering if maybe even it had something to do with my hard start that I was having. You guys who were watching my live stream over in National City the other day noticed that I had a really hard time getting my truck to restart so I can get out of my dock door. And I have the impression that that has something to do with it too. It's related. But anyway, the bearing pieces and the power steering fluid both, all ended up going into the oil system. The oil filter picked up pretty much all of it. However, they did say that, because they did drop the oil pan this morning and inspected there. They were trying to find out if there's any metal in my oil pan or if it did any damage to my main bearings or cylinders and stuff like that. The good news is no damage to the block itself or to the main bearings or anything, which so I felt like I dodged a bullet there. I was expecting this to get really bad. It's already getting to be an expensive repair. When they first gave an estimate, and that was just for the power steering pump, air compressor, replenish fluids, and then all the inspection time and all that, whatever. And labor, it was going to come out to like $5,100+. They found out that some of the metal got past the filter and ended up at the oil pump. And so there was, at least there was evidence of it having gone through, or something having gone through the oil pump, but there's not any evidence of anything going through the engine itself, thankfully. So the oil pump probably picked something up, and just as a precaution, he recommends changing the pump since it's already there. He already has access to it anyway, and there's already it's questionable if it's serviceable. So it's going to be another $1,400 on top of that. Make sure my ringer's on. So it's going to be like a good $6,600 repair once all said and done. Not going to be a cheap one, but it has to get done, and somebody's going to end up having to pay for it, whether it be JCT after if I were to give up the truck, or me paying for it myself. Hey, it's just a necessary evil. Hate to do it, but that's why taxes are there. I mean, I can claim it on my taxes or whatever. Just be prepared for that, budget for that. So it could have been a hell of a lot worse, because if it had gone into the engine block on top of it, then we would have been talking a whole mess of problems. Would have probably needed a whole entire new engine block because of it, and that could have gotten a hell of a lot more expensive. So be thankful. I'm extremely thankful that that's all it came out to be, $6,500 so far. And the vast majority of that cost is actually in parts and very little in labor, surprisingly. So very happy about that. I'm not so happy about being in this rental truck, though, because as you guys know, my truck is a 10-speed manual. This is an auto shift. I haven't driven an auto shift in over 2 years, and I'm not going to lie, this thing is driving me insane. Just going from San Bernardino to Colton, I was like, even dealing with all the damn traffic lights, which is how Jesse and Dan beat me to the truck stop when we both left at the same time. Yeah, Jesse. I don't think I didn't notice that. The only reason you beat me is because every damn light possible on Mill Street decided to play fuck with Scott and be red, which normally I don't have that kind of problem on that street. I won't normally tip your canoe down to the 10 freeway like you guys did. So that is what it is. So you guys win fair and square. I'm not, at least on that little race we had, whatever. So anyway, I'm in Vernon, like I said, which is just southeast of downtown LA. I say the downtown LA skyline is right across the train tracks, practically, and the other side of the 60 freeway and 10, and just a little bit west of here, just a few miles. I'm picking up from GT's Living Foods. I guess it's a really important load. They call it a VIP load. I'm not sure why, but okay. And what's a VIP load? Apparently, it's a load that the planners don't just want anybody in the company pulling. In fact, I told them, oh yeah, I can, because my DM was even asking me which route was I going to take. So that way, if I was going to take a different route, then she could actually set my route up, or I can get paid for the extra miles if I were to go across 40. But yeah, and I told her, if I take I-15 to I-80, which would be my preferred way to go, I-15 to I-70 to 76 to 80 would be great, but 70 when you're paying for your own fuel is not the most ideal way to go. It's the shortest way, but there are a lot of mountains and stuff there, and there are also curves that slow you down. You can't run as fast through that way in between Utah and Denver. It's beautiful route though. I love going that way just for the scenery part, and not to mention, I like to go for walks or sometimes even jogging a little bit. And Glenwood Canyon, it's about 115 or so, over 100 miles or so into Colorado from Utah. Gorgeous area. You got there's areas there where you can park your truck and then go on a trail and go hiking or biking or whatever, running right alongside the Colorado River. It's just a beautiful area. So I love going that way. But for cost effectiveness, from a business owner perspective, it's not the most cost effective way to go. It's more cost effective to go an extra 50 miles up to Salt Lake City area and then go across 80 that way. There are hills to deal with over there, but they're not as bad as taking 70, and you don't have to hit the curves to go with it. So I think it's the lesser evil of all the alternate routes. If I were to take 40 across and then go up to take US 54 from Tucumcari over toward Wichita, that tends to add at least another 100 miles over the route from versus what 70 would take. And that's me. US 54 I'm not a big fan of. We use 54 a fair amount, but most of it's 2-lane road, and a lot of times you get idiots drive just a little bit slower, and they don't have even the slightest hint of courtesy, professional courtesy, as far as the other truckers are concerned when you're going a little bit faster. So I try to avoid spending too much time on that highway, and if I'm going to spend any time on there, I'd rather do it in the middle of the night when there's nobody out there. That way it's a lot less likely that I'm going to have to deal with people pissing me off. Or so, what can I say? All right, so anyway, this load's going to Cedar Falls, Iowa, over by Waterloo. And the dealer, he told me, the tech there at the dealership told me that they think that they'll be done with my truck on Tuesday. This load that I'm picking up also delivers on Tuesday. I'm not actually in sleeper berth. I might as well put myself back off duty. All right, so, and my wife and I already had talked about, because she wants to get out and do a little road adventure, so and when I get done using this truck, it's going to end up needing to get dropped off at her terminal in Sapulpa, Oklahoma anyway. So what I'll probably end up doing is deliver this load, and because it's a VIP load, the planner is not too keen on swapping me off this load to give to somebody else, because I guess it's really important that this thing gets delivered on time, and they gave it to me specifically because they know I'm a dependable driver. Keep that in mind for those of you guys who drive for a living, especially if you drive lease purchase. You don't own your truck. You're leasing to own it, and that's not your name on the side of the truck. It's best to always keep that mentality. Whose name's on the side of that truck? Whose reputation is that you got to uphold? It's not yours. It's the company's. You have a reputation to uphold with the company that you're carrying for. Company has a reputation that they have to maintain with their customers, and if you don't think with your company's interests in mind most of the time, sorry, you're dispensable to them. You're not someone they want to deal with. You're not somebody they're going to want to trust with a load like this. Never mind the fact that I'm going to be at the customer end, at the receiver end, tentatively a full day ahead of schedule. It's not due until Tuesday morning. I think it's 6:30 or something like that. And my start of the trip estimate was going to be sometime in the early morning hours of Monday. So it's I'm gonna be way early. And I'd mentioned I was thinking about even taking I-40 across just so I could have there'd be swap opportunities if or maybe drop it in our terminal or something. Something along that line if it comes down to that. But it didn't sound like the planners were really too thrilled about swapping, doing any kind of repowers with this load. So I'm like, all right, I'll just go ahead and take 15 up to Salt Lake City and then take 80 across. And and I can run some miles on 80. It's you can spend a lot of time at governed speed there on I-80 in Wyoming and Nebraska. So it's an easy route, and it's the shortest alternative as well. So that'll be the plan. Tonight I'll probably, I got held up here by the fact that my load assignment told me I had to be here by 1700. So standard procedure here, show up about an hour before your appointment time. I got here right at 1600. And then I go check in and it said, oh yeah, you're here 2 hours early. I'm like, huh? Oh yeah, your appointment's 1800. Really? Okay, well my load assignment says 1700. Yeah, it's 1800. Okay, so be it. But I am checked in. They have my phone number and all that. And she told me basically just go around the block and park here on the street for and they'll call me up when they're ready to put me in the dock door. So don't know how long I'll be here. Hopefully it won't be more than an hour or two. But looking at Google reviews, it looks like it's kind of hit and miss. Some people say it takes a long time to get loaded. Some people say they got a door right away and got loaded quickly. So it's it's hit and miss. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change what time I'm going to be delivering the load. I'm still going to deliver the load Tuesday morning regardless. If I end up having to take an extra 10-hour break along the way, which I'm already kind of expecting I'll do anyway, so what? I just run efficiently, and I'll still be there probably Monday afternoon or something, and then I can wait till Tuesday morning and deliver. And since my truck will hopefully be ready Tuesday morning as well, or sometime Tuesday as well, at least what the dealer told me, anticipated. I let my DM also know after I'm done with this load, probably look at getting a load to take this truck and the load back toward our terminal in Sapulpa. And then I can drop the truck off there, and my wife is going to meet me there. And we'll just go do a kind of like a fun road trip adventure together on the way back to California. And I'll eventually get my truck back. Probably, I'm kind of estimating, I'll say guesstimate, maybe Wednesday or so of next week, when I will probably be back at our terminal dropping this truck off. We'll see how it goes. It just depends on what loads are available out of that area after I'm done with this one. A lot of those loads that I pick up that way usually come back out this way to California. So I don't know. Maybe I'll probably get with the planner for that area. And, I'll have to put in the time off thing, I think. May have to put that note in, whatever. So that way I know for sure that it's noted, hey, I want to turn the truck in on Wednesday and take a couple of days to get back to California in our personal vehicle. And then might do a little bit of live streaming on the way back to California with that too, because we can stop and do some sightseeing stuff on the way. I can't do that kind of stuff in my truck. So and some of the places I'm thinking of are like the OKC Memorial. Jesse, Diane, and I were all talking about that earlier today. Actually, Jesse and I were while Diane was sleeping. yeah, Jesse and I were both talking about the OKC Memorial Museum, which is right across the street from where the building was that got destroyed, that basically got targeted and destroyed by Timothy McVeigh. So they have a whole like little memorial thing right there where the building used to be. You know, the actual building that got destroyed, the Murrah Federal Building. That they have a whole bunch of crosses there on the lawn there. That every cross represents each of the 168 victims. Go across the street, or actually right there on I think what's that, Fifth Street? No, it's not Fifth. It's in between Fourth and Fifth. What is that, Broadway? I want to say Broadway, between Fourth and Fifth. Yeah, I've been to the memorial several times myself. When I was in the Air Force, I regularly every year would go out to Oklahoma City for conferences for one of the aircraft I used to work on, and yeah. So and whenever I'd go there, I'd usually take people there to the memorial to check it out, and it's really a cool place to check out, and the museum is also worth checking out. I know Jesse said Diane wouldn't want to go in there because she actually was in Oklahoma City the day of the bombing, and she actually felt some of the percussion, or whatever you want to call it, when the bomb actually went off. So it's like really really personal, hit home for her. So, but I know Jesse and I were he was talking about he'd like to check out the museum sometime, and so I'll probably stream at least the outdoor part of that. I don't think I'll be streaming inside the museum I'll probably take Dora in there, but I'll at least maybe stream the outside so you guys can get a look at what that looks like. How things are set up there. And then from there head into the Amarillo area, and I don't know, maybe check out Cadillac Ranch. It's just one of those, it's a stupid thing of about 10 Cadillacs stuck buried nose first into the ground. But every single day there's always a bunch of people just checking it out. And you can actually graffiti spray paint all over all the cars. It's actually a normal accepted thing there. It's just on someone's ranch, and they have an opening in the gate. It's just west of Amarillo. I talk about it sometimes. You guys probably heard of it too. So I might check that out, stream that as well when we get to that point. Trying to think if there are places in New Mexico that I might want to. I'm not sure there's anywhere in New Mexico to live stream. Like I said, I won't have a phone mount that I can work with in my car, so I won't be doing much live streaming on that. Going back there until I get back to my truck. But whenever I'm outside the vehicle doing sightseeing, then I can be in a position where I can live stream and kind of show off some of the stuff. Another one I would like to check out, I have to find out if it's open, is Meteor Crater. That's in Arizona, in between Flagstaff and Winslow. It's about 10 or so miles south of Interstate 40. Basically, it's a big, huge meteor crater. Yeah, it's huge. I can't remember how wide the thing is, but it just, if you know what an antlion is, I don't know. We have them in the desert where I live, all over, but it's basically a little funnel. But now just think of this like a really huge funnel, almost looking like inside the center of a volcano or something. But this funnel here is from a meteor, like a huge meteor, actually making its way into Earth and actually impacting the ground there. So that might be something to check out. It is something. They actually do have truck parking there. It's just kind of out of the way. It's like 10 miles south of the interstate. So I never really bothered to go there and check it out. And I think it'd be something worth checking out. Grand Canyon is temporarily closed. As far as I know, I don't know when they're going to reopen. Obviously, they're closed for COVID-19. But assuming they're going to stay closed, I won't be able to stop there and show that anything there. But if it's open, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it's about an hour or so drive north of Williams, Arizona area. I don't know, may not be able to check that out. So that's all. That'll be stuff to come. Rest of Arizona. Yeah, trying to think of what else there'd be sightseeing related that you might want to check out over there. So that's at least kind of an idea of what will be in store for the latter part of next week. Yeah, so you can watch out for. So otherwise, oh yeah, I'll be looking forward to getting my truck back and having an actual clutch and gear shifter and actually being able to stay in a truck that already is set up for me and I'm already comfortable with, and I can start running my miles again. So that's it on that. I'm gonna go ahead and go through some of these. There's a lot of chat messages. Actually, better show up. Showing here. Just saw 27 people online a second ago, down to 23. It's appreciate all that support here, guys. Don't care how many thumbs up you guys give or whatever. So you guys like the update? It's all good. The fact you're showing up at all is enough. Enough support to me. All right. Touch the screen, it will appear. Hey guys, what's up? Hey, what's up, Matt? Let's see. Do you have an update, Matt, on what's going on with you? Yeah, last I'd heard you had applied with who was it? I can't remember who you had applied with. I don't remember if you got accepted and we're going to start orientation with them or not. But I don't know. Well, I hope everything is going well there. Jesse, James, there's nothing good about the truck. Scott will not be happy. Yeah, the fact that it's an auto shift is already driving me nuts. And Jesse, you told me about that seatbelt warning thing. I'm getting it intermittently myself. It seems to be a loose connection, something related to, probably a loose pin, a loose connection here. Because I noticed on my way over here, most of the time it was off, but every so often it'd come on. In fact, when I was leaving the truck stop there where you and I were both at, it was more of a persistent problem at first. And then when I started driving down Riverside Avenue, it finally went away. And I noticed when I positioned myself in different ways, it tended to go away. And then if I moved in a certain way, it would light up temporarily. So it seems to be a loose connection here at the seatbelt itself, or whatever the electric connection is that it uses to know that the shoulder harness is actually strapped in, or maybe something going on down there. Do you have an MIL light? So I am kind of wondering if I'm going to be weak on the performance like you had with this truck. We'll see. It's like a state bed truck getting like backing in right in front of me. Not really sure what's going on there. All right. Just taking a break for live stream. Autos rule. Nah. Yeah, you can keep your auto shift. I hate them. I was tolerant of them when I was with Cedar England, but I was never a fan of them. I've always been particular to manual transmission. I don't want to. I want to stay in manual. So I know the day will probably come where I'm not going to have much option but to go to an auto shift for good. But yeah, I'll try to stay in a manual as long as I possibly can. I like having the vehicle actually respond instantly to when I hit the accelerator pedal. It moves. I can feel it actually reacting immediately. I don't have to sit here and wait for it to downshift before it'll do it or whatever. Or even in a car, a friend of ours, we're using her car a lot. because my wife spends a lot of time there helping her out and all that, and freaking thing drives me insane. It's like I can't stand torque converters. These auto shift trucks don't have torque converters. They actually have a regular clutch setup. The only difference is that a computer controls the clutch instead of the driver. And that's the main difference between an automatic truck versus an automatic car. An automatic car has a torque converter, and it uses basically hydraulic fluid to, and a whole housing, whatever, to do the actual gear changing. Whereas with a manual transmission, or I hope he's not going to hit the fence. This thing, I don't know. I have a camera on that looks on the other direction. I don't know, and I'm not used to streaming directly through YouTube. So this guy is trying to back in. He only opened the gate so far, and he couldn't see around the side of me to tell if anybody was coming back there. So I gave him a thumb up to let him know, and hey, there's nobody coming. So, all right, but he could have avoided that problem at all entirely by opening the damn gate a little further. He only opened it like really just, I don't know, maybe 15 feet, or not even that, just enough to fit his state bed truck, whatever, and then a little bit extra, but not a lot extra. He's got enough room for at least twice. He's basically, the gate's not even open halfway. That's how much room he had to open it further, and could have gotten in there a hell of a lot easier. I don't know. Some people like to do things the hard way, though. All right. So anyway, yeah, I'll be looking forward to getting out of this truck. But at least it'll make me a little bit of money, or prevent me from being so far negative. All right, Carl should be unloading now. All right, yeah, and I'll be going through the same area that he tends to run his routes as well. I haven't decided exactly which way I'm going to go there. I might do the same way he tends to go, which is up. Yeah, when I get out that way. I don't know. We'll see. I might take highway, whatever that highway. I think it's that 59 or whatever. Or I-29 up from Council Bluffs up to whatever the highway is that Carl usually uses to get out to Denison or whatever town is, and then go up to US 20 from there and take 20 across. For all I know, I don't know. I might do it just for hell of it, but we'll see. We'll see how the weather is, what the conditions are like, and all that. There was another driver with us who was just on US 20 in Nebraska. Apparently turned into a dirt road. I don't think it was supposed to be dirt, but it was covered in dirt, and he almost got stuck. I don't think I'll have that problem in Iowa, and I've been on the route in Iowa that I would probably be doing if I do it all. All right, let's see what all we got here. Bearing damage is terminal. You got lucky. Yes, definitely. All right. Got super lucky. No, I don't need a roommate. I do solo. I'm not interested in teaming with anybody. I'm not interested in having anybody with me. Not to mention, if I was going to have a roommate at all, I had my wife on the truck with me. Holy crap. Big toys, big bills. Yes, definitely. Auto rookie. Shit talker. And what can I say? I'm not an auto rookie. I've spent a year, actually more than a year and a half driving auto shift before. I just never liked it. I can't stand having the truck trying to decide when to be. It doesn't know when to be. What's the appropriate gear for the situation? I'd rather have the control of the gear because I know what gear I need to be in because for that situation, and based on how heavy I am, what speed I'm going, what kind of terrain I'm looking at in front of me, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, these auto shifts, they can't figure that out. So I just don't like to deal with that. Actually, you won because you parked first. Thank God, since I used you for a spotter. Yeah, no. Now Jesse, okay, he had trouble. It was that area was a clusterfuck. The truck stop in Colton that we went to, Rialto Travel Center, which is just like a block or so over from where the Walmart DC is in Colton. Now he had tried to make a right turn onto Aguamanza from Riverside Avenue, but I ended up going straight ahead and made the right turn directly into their lot from Riverside. And not sure what happened with him at first. So I called him up after I parked. And I said, "Hey, where'd you guys go?" Because I thought he would have been coming into the lot by the time I was backing into my spot, and they didn't show up. So call him up, and oh yeah, we had to go around the corner. We tried also to park over to Farmer Brothers, but I guess they were full also or whatever. So I told him, yeah, when you come back around, come back over, the spot right next to me on my right side was open. And there was another JCT 2 spots over. Yeah, so I told him, hey, you can park right between us. Come on back. So he came in, and it was kind of a screwed up setup. Nothing wrong with his setup. It was just the way that the spot is oriented and where other trucks in the lot were positioned. It made for a kind of a tricky setup for him to do. I'll just say that you can't do a standard textbook kind of setup where he had to park. So to his credit, though, once he got in, because I told him once, I was on the phone with him still when they came into the lot. Once he got his tandems out here in front of my truck, kind of over nearby. Told him, hey, come on back. As long as his tractor can stay clear of the truck that's parked over by the curb, hey, you're all right. As long as you clear to the side of my truck, you should be fine. They're slanted spots like that. So the other JCT truck that's 2 spots over, he would have had to go into the spot at least several feet before he was even going to come close to hitting that guy. But yeah, and more to Jesse's credit, he got a little concerned about where he was positioned in relation to the other JCT truck. He could see that he was clear of me, but yeah, the way the trailer was rolling, he wasn't really sure if he was going to stay clear of the Peterbilt that was 2 spots over. So I'm like, all right, I want to get out. He was actually starting to get out of his truck. I was like, hey, hang out there, relax. I'm sitting here in my truck watching anyway and talking to you on the phone. I'll just go ahead and get out and watch over there. I could stand right over by where the front of the other truck is and kind of off the side of his trailer and where I'm out of the way, but I can see everything. And yeah, you're good. Just keep coming back. And then I'll just tell him, I could tell him to just chase it. Started chasing it. The tractor couldn't quite catch the trailer fast enough, but it didn't need to. Thing was, the trailer lined up with his spot perfectly. I thought it was a great backing. And he and I were joking about how I really should have videotaped it because it really was a good backing. Yeah, it was done well. He had to do a couple of 1 or 2 4x4 maneuvers to line the tractor up with the trailer, but it was a very well done maneuver. All right. So anyway, that's what he was talking about. Oh yeah, I've been that way. It's so beautiful. Hola, Marcos. How do you avoid mountains to get to Phoenix from Woodhaven, Michigan? Anywhere in Michigan to get I don't think you can really avoid mountains so much. Your best chance of avoiding a lot of the steep terrain would be to probably go down from Amarillo, because you can navigate from Michigan down to Amarillo. Yeah, it's not mountainous at all there. You're going to have some hills in Missouri, but I wouldn't not even remotely close to mountains there. They're just some up and down hills. They're not even that steep. I would say though, from the Amarillo area, go down, I-27 toward Lubbock. Don't go too far. And then take US 6, is it 60 or 70? 70. You take US 70 across from there toward Las Cruces, New Mexico. You are going to have a little bit of a mountain to deal with. It's like I said, it's not much, but it's nothing compared to what you'll deal with on I-17 in Arizona between Flagstaff and Phoenix. But you'll still have a hill there. I don't think that you can get to Phoenix without going through some terrain. It's just that's going to be the easiest terrain you're going to have to deal with, though, if you're looking to avoid terrain at all. You'll have a little bit of hills also on I-10 in Arizona, because once you get to Las Cruces, you can get on I-10 and take I-10 straight across to Phoenix. But yeah, I mean, kind of over to that by the Benson, Arizona area. There's some hills there. Again, not too bad, but it's it's a couple miles worth of for a truck steep. Otherwise, yeah, mountains though. I-40 going across the Flagstaff's not really that bad. You get up there with the altitude up about 6,000, 7,000 feet by the time you get to Flagstaff, but it's not that bad a climb. It's actually more of a steady, easy climb most of the way, except for a little bit of up and down stuff in New Mexico. But there are some hills and some longer, steeper stuff on I-17 between Flagstaff and Phoenix. Otherwise, yeah, if you really want to avoid terrain, I would take 27 down from Amarillo and then take US 70 across from there to Las Cruces. Hope that helps. All right, Dr. Evil. Scott is now a VIP. Can I put my name on your truck? No, I'll get fired. Well, or how about this? When I do get my ability to run on my own authority, I'll call my company name Icon Trucking or something, and I'll steal your trademark and say that's all my money. You can't have any of it. Deal? Your glory, but my money. How's that sound? Just stay safe out there. Ooh, Grand Canyon trip. That'd be so awesome. I'd love to go there. Grand Canyon National Park someday. Veggies, insects, produce, VIP. I'm not really sure what I'm picking up here. It sounds like it's like vegetarian food or something. I'm not even sure. I've never picked up here before. I do know people who have, but I honestly don't have a clue what we load here. So I'll find out pretty soon. Let's see. Them were actually brand new when that guy put them in the ground. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now that was talking about Cadillac Ranch, what Jesse was saying there. So yeah, he just had money and decided just something fun to do. Made a bit of a tourist spectacle out of it, so he did accomplish something there. All right. Hey, how's it going, James Kelly? How's everything going at the CDL school there? When are you finishing up with that? For everybody else watching, James is actually or maybe is about to complete CDL school with Sierra England in Salt Lake City. And I know he was, from last time we talked, he was doing really well there. Yeah, I know you said you had a little bit of difficulty with, I think you said the parallel parking at first. And then we kind of talked about it on one of the other streams, and then you gave another update later on and said that everything's going so well that I guess they started calling you a natural or something like that. They're the instructors there. So that's good. I'm glad to hear everything's going well with that. All I believe it's 2 miles. Now, our gals, I think you were talking about the meteor crater, correct? When I was asking about the width of the meteor crater, I want to say it was like 1.5 miles, something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. So yeah, it's pretty big, and it's kind of was hey, I've been there. Kind of cool to see things and be cool to check out. So hopefully I'll get a signal there and I'll definitely take Dora there. Hopefully it's at the right time of day where I can, and hopefully it's open so I can actually show her that and also stream it for you guys. All right, I was trying to scroll, but I think I accidentally because it. All right, there it is. Okay, Jim Furman, Winslow has a flatbed Ford bronze statue on a corner. Yeah, now most of you guys are familiar with what he's talking about. There is an Eagles song, Peaceful Loving Feeling, or what's that song called? Peaceful. I have the song. I cannot play it on my streams because it'll block my streams, but what the hell is it? It's Peaceful something. It's like 3 words. It's like peaceful, loving feeling, or isn't that right? I'm looking at my peaceful, easy feeling. That's what it is. All right. So that song they talk about a flatbed Ford at a corner in Winslow, and so just because of that song, they have this statue that Jim is talking about. And yeah, it might be something to check out too. So it's easier to get over there in a car than with my truck. Go get a shave in Seligman from Angel. A shave. Like a manscaping kind of shave. get my facial hair shaved or some kind of, or that's some other kind of thing. It's only 5.8 miles to Meteor Crater from I-40. Okay, that's less than I thought. That's easy. Hoover Dam. I'd have to go up toward Vegas, but that is an idea. And I just went past Hoover Dam a couple of times just a couple of weeks ago, or not. It was less than 2 weeks ago. But of course, you can't see it. I can't show it live. I can actually see it from the right lane of the Pat Tillman Bridge there on US 93. But of course, I'm not going to handle my phone while I'm driving, so I can't just grab my phone and here, check it out. I will interact when I'm driving, just occasionally glance at the chat, but that's again, I'm really limited on that. I just kind of quick and then back to the road, back to the road kind of thing. But people get too finicky about drivers handling phones, and especially when I'm driving for some other company, not myself. Don't need snitches to be, hey, your driver's playing with his phone while he's driving. So, what the damn, dude, slow down. Okay, so there are 3 lanes here. Again, because I'm not on my phone, I can't really show you. I'm on 26th Street here in Vernon, just west of the 710 freeway. If you look on Google Maps, look at the satellite view, maybe that'll help you out. Like I said, I don't know that I have a camera over on the backside of it, and I don't see a setting here on my thing that I know for sure will switch it. I haven't, like I said, because I usually stream through Streamlabs, and right now I'm streaming directly through YouTube instead. But I'm on 26. I'm facing east. I'm looking right at the 710 freeway, about half a mile ahead. Okay, my lane is super wide. Then there's a middle, like a center turn lane, and then there's a westbound lane. And I had a couple of vehicles passing by me doing, the normal speed everybody's doing. Then they had someone like in a red crossover vehicle using the center lane to go in and went flying past a couple other people. I'm like, what the hell, man? It's not like the guy he was passing was going slow. I mean, they were going a decent, reasonable speed, I thought. So, there was just no reason for that. And then there was another car kind of did the same thing with another car behind him, or behind that one. All right. So yeah, maybe it's a detour to go up to Hoover Dam from the route we're going to take from um, Sapulpa back to our house. But depending on when I expect to get back into California and when I can actually pick my truck up and what hour of I don't know if their weekend hours are there at the dealer. I'll have to call and make sure. If it's going to take a little extra time anyway to be able to get my truck, I can go ahead and maybe make that D2 route up to Hoover Dam and then work my way back over to back to California from there. That's my feelings. Wish I could have got my truck back. Yeah, Simeon on the road, also known as Linda. She also drives for us. Yeah, we probably Linda. How much would you want to go back to a manual transmission, or are you actually happy with the auto shift trucks? Because most people I know actually like the auto shift. Yeah, haven't switched over, but I know Scotty. He'd much rather be in a manual as well. I'd much rather be in a manual as well, even though we both have experience with auto shift. And there are other people I know who have experience with both, but still prefer manual. Yeah, there are good things about auto shift. It's just not my cup of tea. I'll just put it that way. But silver is working good, so I guess I'll keep it. All right. I can't remember. Yeah, I think I have your new truck number. I'm still fixing it on your old truck, 3801, I think it was. But yeah, and I'm pretty sure I have your new truck number. Just I haven't memorized it to remember. Hey, what's up, Linda? Yeah, it was the last time we crossed paths. I didn't even realize it was you, and we ended up talking to each other on the CB while I was streaming too. And like, hey, that's Linda. That was funny. Yeah, for those of you guys watching who weren't around at that time, I was streaming live. I was going to Plainview, Texas. Linda had actually just finished taking a little bit of time in that town in New Mexico right before you get into Texas there on US 84. It starts with a C. I'm always brain farting. It's where Cannon Air Force Base is. But Linda's from that area, and she actually stopped there to visit I think a friend or something like that, and just happened to cross my path on 84 east of Fort Sumter, New Mexico, and it's like I thought it kind of looked like her, and then we started talking on the CB, and like I know that voice, that's Linda. So it was just kind of funny we cross, and that's not a really super heavy, especially westbound JCT. It's eastbound. It's pretty common for us to go through there going to Plainview, but you don't really see too much. Really don't see us going westbound through there, except that one time with her. All right, James Kelly. I passed my pre-trip and my in-cab with brake tug and 1, 2, 3, and did good on my straight back and my offset. But because I failed my parallel, I have to do my backing and my road test Monday or Tuesday. Okay, so you're about done. You actually tested, but had trouble with the parallel, which you had trouble with previously. Now, question is, do you know what the mistake was that you made with your parallel, and do you know what you need to do to fix it? Hopefully you got that down now, and if you need help, let me know. We talked about this. I don't know what, give me kind of an idea what exactly happened there to cause that. It sounded like you misjudged where, when to start to stop and turn your steering wheel the other way or something. I don't know. Maybe pick the wrong target on your landing gear. It can be that simple. So, but maybe I can help with that if you do still need help with that. Hopefully you got it down anyway, and hope to hear that you hope to find out Monday or Tuesday that you're good to go. All right, wiggle wire in the floor to stop the seatbelt light. Yeah, no. No, this is a Freightliner, and that's what I think Lena's in too. or are you in a KW? I don't know. Yeah, there is a wire right here next to the seat that plugs right into the lower half of where the seatbelt hooks up. You know, where the seatbelt hooks up. But how that actually gets the signal that the seatbelt's hooked up, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with this. This maybe having a good connection inside the seatbelt, for all I know. But yeah, I'll report it to them when I turn the truck in. Tell them, hey, the seatbelt light is intermittent. MIL light's on. Not really sure what else. Jesse, do you got anything else? I don't know if you're still on here. Maybe you can let me know if there's something I'm not thinking of that, or maybe I just haven't been in the truck long enough to figure out. Didn't see anything on a pre-trip that really caught my attention. Actually, looks like a pretty good shape overall from the pre-trip. So, all right. Pick up and turn it in. I'm training with a 2017 Freightliner with a 10-speed manual at CDL School. Nice. So Tom C is also in CDL School. He's not training at CDR England. He's training at a different company. I can't remember. It was like an independent CDL school, if I remember right. And I remember you saying that you're going to go to Werner or somebody when you get through getting your CDL. And then now, Tom, if I remember, you're doing the weekend program. So I think it's 8 weekends of CDL school. So you have your normal 5, weekday life that, maybe your day job you're doing, whatever now. And then only on the weekends you do the CDL school. Then you do it for 8 weekends before you're done. And I remember you were at least through 3 of those weeks. So, and that was at least a good couple weeks ago. So I would have to guess that you're already done with like 5 or 6 of those weeks now. Am I not? Am I correct on that? So you're getting pretty close there. So sure, we'll see you out here on the road sooner or later as well. That's a good thing, Tom C. It won't limit you to auto only. Yes, definitely. And yeah, that's like YouTube wants to jump on me again. The chat. Yeah, 10-speed manual that's a pretty easy transmission to learn too. I learned on an 8-speed, or I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'd call it an 8-speed. Some people call it Super 8 or something. Or because it's reverse and a low gear, and then you don't normally use the left side gears at all. There's just one. So you have like a regular H. You have 3 sections. So you have the center section, then you have the left hard limit, the hard spot, a hard stop there, and you have a right hard stop there. So those of you guys who don't drive sticks, this is how they work. The left side hard stop, go up is reverse, and down, at least on an 8-speed. Up is reverse, down is low gear, and then in the center is 1 and 2. And then against the right hard stop is 3 and 4. And then there's you might have seen on my shifter, there's a lever on the front of the gear shifter that you flip up and down. So when it's down, you're in the low side gears, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then when you flip it up, you end up you can shift into the high side gears. So where first gear would be, you'd be shifting into 5th if you're on the high side. So once you're on 4th, you flip it up to the high side, and then when you go to shift into 5th, it'll actually it has to go into neutral before it'll actually go to the high side. You can flip the thing while it's in 4th, it's fine, but it won't actually shift and won't go into the high side until you're in neutral, and then when you go up in the first gear position, that puts you in 5th, and then 6th, and then to the right hard stop up is 7th, and then 8th is down. So that's an 8-speed. A 10-speed. Very similar to an 8-speed. The only difference is that low gear that I was talking about. Instead of low gear, that's actually first. and then on the high side it's 6th gear. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the high side you got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you get more gears, okay, which gives you more. It's at least a little bit better uh, steep terrain performance than you can probably get out of an 8-speed with the same engine. The gearing has a lot to do with everything, though. Yeah, some are. Just because it has more gears doesn't necessarily mean one thing or that's better or whatever. The gears might be shorter, they might be longer, or the same length, whatever, but have more. So it's just a matter of how they're configured. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the weeds with the details on that, but all right. Anyway, yeah, mine's a 10 as well. Scotty, I think, is in a 13 or an 18. I forget. Now, 13 is basically a 9-speed, which is very similar as well to 8 and a 10. But that one has a splitter, what you call a splitter on the left side of the gear shifter. And it's the easy way to explain it is you can kind of split between 2 gears. So let's just say if one gear is not strong enough, but the next gear lower is too strong for a certain terrain, then you can split it and go kind of in halfway between in a way. Is the easiest way I can describe this, and have more fine-tuned control on the terrain. Sorry, 18. Yeah, so 13 speed, it only splits the high side gears. And then an 18 speed splits both the low end and the high end gears. I've never had to go to my low side, even when I'm pushing 79,000 plus pounds on a 6% grade. I've never had to go below 6th gear on my truck, unless somebody slower than me in front of me actually forced me to do it. Otherwise, yeah, I've never. I don't see a reason to need a 18 speed, and I can see needing it for like a heavy haul operation or something where you're going to run more than 80,000 pounds, or maybe LTL trucks where the trailers can actually combine. If I'm not mistaken, LTL trucks can the double pups, they can weigh more than 80,000. I can see 18 speeds being more useful for that kind of application. I don't really see them having it's kind of a useless feature, I guess, for what I'm doing personally. At least that's my opinion. I don't have experience with 18 speed, but knowing how the concept of how they operate, I don't see there being a need for them, at least when you're running less than 80,000 pounds. 13 speed definitely would help though. All right, so happy I got a free shower to Flying J and Woodhaven. Looks like I'll be off the road for a while. No one I've applied to is taking me. The earliest someone would take me is 6 months. Ouch. Well, hopefully somebody bites. If not, hopefully, I don't know. I hope you'll be able to make do for 6 months until someone will take you. Sorry to hear that, though. Hopefully, you would think somebody might actually be willing to take you, though. As we know, Eric had his was kind of a bullshit problem too, but it was a problem that had to be dealt with, and I guess most of the companies weren't taking him as well, but he got Western Express to take him. Sucks to hear, Matt. Have you tried local routes like Mish does? Hey, Matt, if you want flatbed, TMC out of Des Moines is looking. TMC is actually a very reputable flatbed company. I see people talk about them a lot on Facebook and the trucking channels there, trucking groups, whatever. That one or that other one up in Spokane, Washington. But that's not TMC, is it? No, that's what the hell is that company called? It's a flatbed company. I know they're based in Spokane, Washington. If I saw them, I'd remember them. Like, oh, that's them. Yeah, but I can't remember the name of them right now. I don't see them all the time, so they're not really heavy in my heavy freight lane. US 54 is a pretty good route. Yeah, not a bad drive when you don't have idiots to deal with. Unfortunately, it's hard to get to spend time on US 54 and not have to deal with at least a couple of idiots. So it takes patience. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, Angel Delgado. Yeah, here goes YouTube jumping to the bottom again. No, all right, here we go. Angel Delgado gives facial shaves and Seligman and been there for over 60 years. Wow, it's a long time. Probably won't be there now, though, with all this virus stuff. Now, they are starting to reopen places. Actually, some of the barber shops in my area have reopened, but they're only doing appointments, and I'm sure they're swamped. In fact, I called one of the places yesterday in Victorville, and they said he was doing appointments only, and he said the soonest he'd be able to get me in would be Tuesday. I'm like, nah, well, screw that. And Great Clips has been closed still, and I didn't get a chance to go to the Marine Corps base where I've been normally getting my haircuts lately. Just didn't happen. Although I probably could have gone there, just tired or whatever, and just never made it there. So I'm hoping to get my haircut soon. It's starting to get a little on the thicker side. They're starting huge fires in Atlanta. Yeah, that's a lot of that bullshit's going on everywhere, and that's completely screwed up. It's just people want to be lawless, and they're just using this as an excuse to act like freaking animals. That's all it is. If you think it's okay to act like that, get off my channel. You're a piece of shit. I don't want you around. If you think it's okay to act like that, like I say, you're a fucking piece of shit. You don't belong here. And this crap's going on everywhere. There's, I guess, some stuff going on here in LA. The real bad stuff in Minneapolis, where that incident happened. And speaking of, well, since we're on here waiting anyway, let's see, double check what time it is. All right, it's 5:30, so my appointment's 30 minutes from now. I got a chance to watch the video because I was having a conversation with somebody about it. I haven't seen the video, so I didn't want to go into the weeds with the conversation about it. But most of it's been outrage over, hey, how come these officers haven't been arrested and charged yet? Okay, do you guys have any freaking clue how criminal justice works? Because apparently, by the mob mentality that I've seen on Facebook, the vast majority of people don't have the first damn clue in the world how the process works, and how easy it is for someone to get acquitted of charges, even if they do get charged, if the process is not followed correctly. And so we do know that the officers involved in that were all fired already by the Minneapolis PD. So apparently they at least violated procedural policy. Their documented procedures on how to do things there, I guess. Then it became a question of, was it criminal? And that's not such a clear-cut case like people think it is, at least not from what I saw. And I'm going to explain. I'll go into this since I actually did see the video and got kind of an idea of what's going on there. But before I do want to give an update that for those of you guys who might not have already got the news, that maybe if you've seen the video, there was one officer who had his knee on what's his name, George Floyd. Is that his name, George Floyd? On Mr. Floyd's neck. He actually got arrested today. He's being charged for this. The other three involved, I have not heard any updates about yet. And honestly, I'm not sure the guy who was on his neck was the right guy to be going after. I think the guy who was next to him, helping him, might possibly be the guy that they should be more concerned about. And I'm going to go into that in a minute here. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen if Mike the Cop or any of the YouTube law enforcement experts that actually who are law enforcement type people that have talked about this incident yet. I don't spend a hell of a lot of time on YouTube outside of doing my own streams or posts, whatever, or occasionally looking at watching music videos, or I might check in on Scotty or something. What's going on there? But okay, now what I saw there. Now, I'm going to give you this from the perspective of I have more than a little bit of jiu-jitsu experience. I know a lot about chokes. And what I saw there was George Floyd basically face first on the ground. One officer had his left knee on George's neck. It was more of a restraint hold, and it was the type of restraint hold that I'm certain is a standard procedure application by law enforcement officials. It's intended to be a pain, inflict pain, not actually choke them. And the pain is meant to get the person they're dealing with to comply with what they're trying to do or get them to do. Now, there's a whole nother can of worms there. I'll get into that too. I know some of you guys are like, well, yeah, but it's all right. This guy was charged with today. The officer who did this maneuver with his murder, but I'm not convinced that his hold that he had actually was the direct reason why George couldn't breathe. It's evident that George was having trouble breathing. But he was able to talk, so he must be able to breathe. But here's the thing: you can have difficulty breathing, and okay, your esophagus is right here at the front of your neck. If he's face down and he's kind of like this, and you can clearly see it, his throat is not touching the ground. Are we sure his esophagus is getting pushed into the ground? And if all he's doing, if the guy and the cop had his knee on the side of his neck, sometimes the back of it, mostly the side. Now, there is a little bit of a concern there with the carotid artery and the jugular vein. Now, again, this is where my jiu-jitsu experience comes into play. I can put you in a blood choke or be choked out with a blood choke by one of my training partners, and I can breathe just fine. It doesn't affect me at all. You close off these arteries here, and I can do this, and I'm going to see stars. I can breathe just fine. You can hear me talking just fine. I can sit here all damn day. You can squeeze it. You can push in on those arteries as hard as you can, and it's not going to do the least bit to my esophagus. I can breathe perfectly fine. Now, it will be a blood choke, though. It cuts off the oxygen to your brain. It has nothing to do with your lungs being able to take in and exhale, take in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, though. So there is that one concern. If he's pushing down enough on this side, and this side of George's neck is actually pressed into the ground, where the ground is actually constricting the artery and vein on this side, then he actually could get choked out via a blood choke. But that's not going to impact his ability to breathe. They say, you'll get knocked out, and then you can still breathe the whole time you're knocked out. But now, if they hold that position for so long, where both these are, if it's a blood choke actually, and you get choked out by a blood choke, and it's held for too long, then yes, it absolutely can kill you. And watching that video, this officer had I could tell the point where George appeared to have gone unconscious. This officer had his knee on his neck for 3 minutes and 45 seconds, or roughly that, before he actually caught up, so they could actually put George on the stretcher. And you could see that George's arms were already handcuffed. So, to me, yeah, it's outrageous what these cops did. They definitely deserve to be fired. Now the question is, what exactly caused George to die? I have not heard anything about coroner reports. maybe there's, again, I have not followed this case very much. So maybe the coroner has issued some kind of a release, but I don't think so, because usually they're going to wait for toxicology testing, the test results to come back first. See if he had maybe potentially lethal levels of any kind of drug or alcohol, legal or otherwise, doesn't matter. Could that have been a factor, like it was with that guy, that huge guy in New York, who got choked out by the cop, but he was like super, super high on PCP. And then the guy was a walking heart attack. I don't know. Maybe, again, I don't want to get on to the race issue on that. It's maybe there's there's always valid concerns. Is this race related or not? And it's not my place to say whether it's racially motivated in each of these cases. I wasn't there. I'm not the people involved, so I'm not going to get into that subject. And, if you have a valid concern about it, if you have a concern about it, you're entitled to have that concern. And I'm not going to question your concern about that. It is a valid subject to talk about, and it is a valid problem that needs to be dealt with. It's how big of a problem is it? Like with these cases, though, that's up for debate. And I'm not going to say whether I think this or that case is racially motivated. So so I'm not going to go into that part of the subject, but I will say, just from what I saw and knowing the human body and knowing chokes, I seriously doubt that the cop putting his knee on his neck had anything to do with him not being able to breathe. However, from the camera view that I was able to see, they had the police unit there. There was like a Ford Explorer. You could see the officer with his knee on his neck, but where George's body was at, you can't really see much going on there, but you could tell that there was another officer over there somewhere, not really so well in view. So I do have to question, was this officer standing, basically putting a heavy amount of his weight with one of his knees onto George's back, which actually could put pressure on his diaphragm and lungs, and that actually can restrict his ability to breathe as well. And I try rolling in jiu-jitsu with a guy who weighs over 300 pounds. Yeah, I've been there, done that. It's not easy to breathe. Someone who's my size, it's not too difficult. It's a little more labored to breathe, but it's not that difficult. But like I said, and I've had a training partner who's over 300 pounds, and when he's on top of me, it's like, it's not easy. I can breathe, but it's not easy. And I can see that going on, especially if you have the weight focused in the right spot, like the other officer may have had, might have. I can see that being a possibility, that maybe he actually had a more direct impact on it. But so we'll wait for the coroner report to come back. If maybe, I don't know, you guys, maybe some of you guys are followed that a little bit more closely than I have and know more about it. Because I'm not involved in it, so I don't commit myself too heavily into other people's business. If it didn't impact me in some way directly, then who am I to judge what went on there? I don't know what goes on in their jobs, or what goes on in their minds and everything. There are a lot of details involved there that people don't want to consider. They just, oh no, that's racist, or that's just police brutality, just outright. It's not always so clear cut. So yeah, I'm with that. I think I'm in agreement with everybody. Absolutely, the cops did wrong there. Yeah, no doubt about it. It's just because why did that guy need to have his knee on a guy's neck for over 3.5 minutes after, to me, was very clearly unconscious? What was going on there? Because it sounded like they were trying to get him to stop resisting. It sounded like he tried to resist when they tried to get him in the car or something, and that's kind of led to the video part. So so there's a lot that goes on there that nobody outside the situation knows about. So that's why I'm like, why do people get so bent out of shape and get themselves in all kinds of trouble over something that has nothing to do with them? Mind your business and let nature take its course. Let the justice system work. I understand that the DA, like me, I'm a truck driver. Do you think I'm going to take kindly to one of you guys who don't drive a truck for a living telling me how to do my job? And a lot of us truck drivers can't stand the FMCSA people who tell us how to do our job, and not a damn one of them even has a CDL. So don't you dare fucking tell me how to do my job as a truck driver when you don't even know what it's like to be in my shoes here. I'll tell you, I'll take serious offense to that. And I'll tell you, fuck off. That's just the way it is. Now, how do you think these other people in law enforcement, and judicial system, whether that's the cops, DA, Department of Justice, the state attorney general, or whoever, they have jobs to do involved in this, and there's a lot of work to do that people don't understand, and they think it's just so simple. Oh, this is just outright murder. No, it's not that clear cut. There's a lot of detail involved that they have to do. They have to cross every T and dot every I, because it really is that simple. When in criminal court, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and if they don't have irrefutable evidence that these people clearly committed a murderous act, then guess what? They can charge them with murder, and that doesn't fit the description of murder. But you got to convince a jury of 12 people that it really was murder by definition of these legal statutes. If there's even just a slight bit of technicality involved there that can put the whole thing in question, guess what? These guys, even if they are legitimately murderous, are going to walk scot free. They're going to get acquitted. You don't want that. If they really did do wrong, let the justice system people do their jobs and do their job effectively. Let them do their investigation, however long it's going to take to do it, and kick back and not don't think that they're not going to do anything. Just because you haven't heard of them, the cops getting arrested and charged yet, doesn't mean they're not going to. Like, as we just found out today, one of them did get arrested and charged. The other three, remains to be seen. They might be arrested and charged as well. They just haven't completed the investigation yet. And I'm sure most of you guys have felt the same way. You don't want somebody telling you how to do your job if they don't know what it's like to do it. The same with me, not just with trucking, but even when I was an aircraft mechanic. Don't freaking tell me how to do my job as a mechanic if you don't even know how to do it yourself. You don't know what it's like to walk in my shoes. Who the fuck are you to talk? And that's how I think these Justice Department people should be thinking as well. And that's, just don't stress yourself out over and get all bent out of shape over shit that you don't need to get bent out of shape over. Let time and nature take its course first, and then once there's some kind of decision, then decide, hey, is this something I need to be outraged at, or am I okay with the decision that was made? All right. So that's all I'm asking there. It's kind of long, and we got time to kill here anyway. So I don't want to. I try to avoid getting into highly debatable or whatever kind of topics like this, and I'm trying to view this as objectively as I can. So I hope you guys understand that. I don't want to come across like I'm racist or anything like that. I hope you guys don't see it that way, but say there's a lot going on there, and I don't envy the jobs that are involved with people who have to do that or have to deal with that. So I just hope whatever happens is actually the right decision, and the right thing happens, whatever ends up being the case. All right. James Kelly, I think, was where I left off. I made 2 or 3 little mistakes. Oh yeah, Clovis also by Linda, what I was talking about earlier in New Mexico. I made 2 or 3 little mistakes. Tried going faster than I was used to, was too far forward to make my first mark, pulled too far back to make my last 2 moves. Try going faster than I was used to. Too far forward to make my first mark. Okay. All right, yeah. So what James is talking about there is we're talking about parallel parking the truck, at least the CDL school way. Because as you guys know, doing it the CDL school way is completely different than the real world way. Yes, we do parallel park in the real world in trucks, and you guys have seen me do it. But I don't do it even remotely close to the way CDL school does it. And I go, why does CDL school teach it that way then? Because the DMV requires them to test on it that way. Now, you go do the DMV test, you have to do it this particular way, and that's why the CDL school teaches you that way. They just want you to pass the DMV test, and then you can worry about learning the real world way to do it after you have your CDL in your hand. But okay, so what James is talking about now, you simulate in school that they'll have a cone set up usually. They'll have so you want to park. Let's say there's a truck parked right here, and you're coming up here, and you want to park right here behind this imaginary truck. They'll have a cone set up over here, and where basically it's supposed to be the back end of the back of the trailer of the guy you're trying to back in next to. And you're supposed to go, when you set up, you're kind of setting up straight forward and a certain distance away from this cone. And you go a certain distance up past it, usually to where I think that cone is somewhere. It's been a while. Maybe you refresh my memory, James. I think it's supposed to be somewhere about where the side marker light is on the side of your trailer. Somewhere in that neck of the woods, or maybe even just a little bit past it. I can't remember. Somewhere in that ballpark, though, is where you're supposed to ideally stop, and then you start doing the turns. And the turns are, so if you're trying to go, let's say to the blind side, like so the curb that you're going to park on is to your right. Okay, so just remember when you back up, when you steer, the front of the truck and the back of the trailer both go the opposite direction of which way you're steering. So if you want to go right, you need to steer left. And in whichever way you're steering, the back of the tractor, front of the trailer, basically your drive tires will go the same direction that you're steering. So if you're steering left, you line up, you steer hard left. I mean, you stop and then you steer a max left, and you start backing up. What happens is the back of your tractor, the drive tires go that direction to the left. The front of your tractor goes to the right, and then the back of the trailer goes to the right. And then you back up until you see a certain amount of your landing gear, about 3/4 of the landing gear. So you're going to see, it depends on the setup on the trailer, because some of them have like a kind of an X-shaped landing gear support structure. And on that particular kind, you might normally go a little bit past where they cross over each other. So you can see the sand shoe on the side closest to your mirror, because you're going to look in your mirror. So if I'm going that direction, I'm going to look in my right mirror, and I'll see my sand shoe from that side of my trailer first. The sand shoe is the bottom of the landing gear that actually makes the contact with the ground. So you'll see that first, and then you'll start to see the support structure, the cross member like that. And then when you get past the point where they cross over each other, but not quite to the point where you see the sand shoe on the other side, that's where you're supposed to stop. Stop dead in your tracks. Turn the steering wheel all the way to the opposite max end to that. Basically, if you were steering max left before, stop and go to max right. And then back up again and do the exact same thing. When you see about 3/4 of your landing gear on the opposite side of your trailer and basically your left flat mirror, or your convex mirror here, whichever, then stop again, and then go back to max left steering, and then go backward again. And then when you line back up with the trailer, you should be complete. You should have the maneuver complete. So what James was talking about there is if you start too far forward, then you run into a position where you can't get into the spot without hitting the cone that you're supposed to try to avoid hitting. And then if you set up too far back, which I think is what he said also, pulled too far back to make my last two moves. All right. It's okay, but if you set up too far back, then you won't be able to get into the spot without going past the back end of the area that you're supposed to fit inside. So that's something to watch out for if you haven't been to CDL school yet and you're planning to. Might give you might help you out some. Okay, Tom C, going to Parker Driving School. That's it. Yeah. All in all, I just need to slow down to a creep and just concentrate on making my marks like I normally do in practice. Yes. Good advice there, James, too, that you just gave. Don't be in a hurry. Yeah, you're not getting time. You're not getting graded on how fast you do it. You're getting graded on how accurately you do it. And you can usually do, I think, 2 pull-ups. If you have to do more than 2 pull-ups, then you fill that part of it. So yeah, like I say, just take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Make sure you're doing it correctly the first time, and you'll be fine. All right. Number weekends to go. I'm not sure how many weekends you said you have left there, Tom. Now you're coming up pretty soon. Not very many. I can't remember you saying in June is when you finish, right? I don't remember exactly which weekend in June, but pretty sure I remember you saying in June is when your last weekend is. James Kelly also had too big a gap to make my marks starting out, but they're all mistakes I can avoid next week. Exactly. And okay, now what you're noticing there, apply this in the real world to backings as well, because it's all a matter of placement and timing for how effective your setups are, even in the real world backings. You're catching on to, hey, I'm too far this time, now I'll get closer this time. And you might go a little too close the next time, and you just make adjustments so you figure out what feels right. And then what looks right based on what you've seen happen before. So yeah, that's great. Great advice there for people going to CDL school, and I'll add into that with do real world backings. They say how close or far away you are from what you're trying to back into, how wide the lane is, when you actually start to turn out away from your spot when you're doing a 45 backing or whatever, like we tend to do, even on a straight backing. When do you start your turn to do your serpentine maneuver to line up with your spot? That can have an impact on how effectively you line straight up with the spot. Most of the time, straight backs are not going to end up exactly straight back. You might end up just a little bit off. It might be at an angle, but hopefully if you did it fairly well, you'll still be pointing right at the front of your hole. It's just it'll be at an angle like that, or somewhere offset a little bit, but enough where you can easily maneuver it in. So that's a real world straight back. Now, obviously, straight backing is just in CDL school. It's just steer toward the problem and keep it between the cones. It's super easy. All right, 3 weekends to go. Okay, so yeah, so it was around mid-June, like I thought. 3 miles from Corey D, a gas station burned down. Yeah, and then they also went. Then they also attacked one of the police departments there too. I guess caught it on fire or something. I don't know how bad it was, but that's a good way to get yourself shot. They're lucky they only got shot by rubber bullets. And I thought I heard the National Guard is starting to get involved as well. The National Guard got involved here in LA when we had the LA riots back in the 90s. What is it, the 90s? Yeah, and I wouldn't mess around with those guys. They're not going to shoot rubber bullets. They'll shoot lethal bullets, and you put them at risk, they are going to shoot. All right, Simi going to sleep. All right, have a good one. Good luck, James Kelly. Hope to see you on the road. Yep, third. They say maybe second-degree murders. I don't know yet. Okay. Yeah, no, first degree is premeditated. Second degree is not premeditated, but Not quite sure. I don't think I even know where the difference exactly is between second and third degree murder. You're going to say blood restriction. Put him to sleep hole. Yes. Favorite of mine in days gone by. Blocking Highway 101 in San Jose. Said it's, yeah. Don't pull this shit on me. Don't try to block the road on me because I will tell you, I will say two words. Reginald Denny. Yeah, if you don't know who Reginald Denny is, you should read up on him. I'm not going to play around. I'm not going to become the next Reginald Denny. You're going to become You're going to become the idiot who gets your ass ran over for trying to make me a Reginald Denny. I'm not fucking around with you. My safety comes first. And if you're disrupting the road, then you should get ran over. You know, I hate to sound morbid and asshole, but seriously, if you don't care about your life, then why should we? Racist or not, any death in custody is suspicious. Yes. Yeah, and that one definitely is very suspicious, and I can't figure out for the life of me why they had him in that hold for so long, and whether both before and after he went unconscious. Like, he's already handcuffed. Why not just get up and even tell him, well, stop resisting. Well, I'm not, he's already in handcuffs and on the ground. What the hell else is he gonna do? Yeah, he can't. He's just trying to breathe apparently, and apparently something happened there because he quit breathing and ended up dying from it. So, to me, it was extremely gross negligence at the very least by the cops. I'm not sure I'd call it murder, but it is sure as hell is fucking disgustingly negligent. And that's still the negligent homicide is still a crime. So I can still see them getting charged with something. Murder or negligent homicide of something of some sort. I don't know. But yeah, it's criminal in some way from what I could tell. Because you can't have someone dying in your arm under your control like that. Here we go, more people flying by other people in the center lane, and there was a CHP that just went by, just like several hundred feet up in front of them too. Wow, some people. City have curfew this weekend, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Can't be outside or they will be arrested. Is that in Minneapolis? Or are you talking about somewhere else? Tom Reed, I can talk about anything as an adult and with respect. Yeah, as long as we can be respectful about it and civil, I'm always for it. I'm always for discussion. We can agree to disagree on things too. Obviously, there's certain things that I don't talk about. Like I don't tend to talk about politics. I dislike politics, and religion, sex, and politics. Usually, three things that stay away from. I have my views. I know Tom has his. Tom talks all the time about his religious view of the Church of KFC, is it, or one of them chicken places? As a joke. Tom's an atheist, so I'm saying it's lighthearted. I don't care what Tom's spiritual view is. I'm just saying we try not to talk about that kind of stuff, though. All right. I left webcam in Springfield, very quiet, no crazy. Hey, how's it going, David Estrada? In Vernon, California. Let's see, some people might have just shown up more recently, didn't catch the early part of this. I'm in Vernon, California, waiting to be called to dock in at my shipper. The load is going to Cedar Falls, Iowa, which is over by Waterloo. My own truck is in the shop still. Thankfully, got good news that the problem let me rehash this because I know some of you guys watching were not on at the beginning of the stream and might want to get an update on what's going on with my truck. It's still at the dealer in Fontana. My power steering fluid leak is what I turned it in for, and found out that the air compressor, which there's a shaft on the air compressor that actually drives the power steering pump. The bearing on the air compressor took a dump and took the power steering pump out with it, which the power steering pump itself was only a 6-month-old pump. I just had it replaced last November. And the pieces of bearing ended up going into my oil filter, and also did a little bit of, I guess, I don't know, maybe some scoring or gouging or something of my oil pump as well. So my power steering fluid was basically going into the engine through the oil system, I guess, or oil, maybe also fuel, I don't know. But I'm going to need a new power steering pump, a new air compressor, oil filter, oil, and the oil pump. They pulled the oil pan out. Yeah, obviously that's how they know that the oil pump should be replaced. They said it's probably okay, but just as a precaution, because there was at least a little bit of evidence that something went there. He decided he's going to go ahead and change it. But I dodged a bullet here, though, and that the main bearings, the crankshaft bearings and the cylinders and all that are okay. So the engine block itself is okay, and it's not going to get extremely more expensive than it already is. It's already expensive enough, but it gets a hell of a lot worse if the engine has to go. And thankfully, it doesn't have to go. So that's the fortunate news. They said that it'd probably be done on Tuesday. This load that I'm picking up now is due on Tuesday in Cedar Falls. I'll be there early, but it's kind of a high priority load, or a high visual load, where I think the christeners and all them are looking at it closely, and they don't want just anybody pulling the load, even though I got plenty of time to work with. So they're not going to want to swap me out on it. So I'm basically just going to get it there when it's time to deliver it, and then hopefully get a load from that area. Yeah, we do pickups actually right there in Waterloo. Maybe I can do a pickup right there that I can take back to our yard, our terminal in Sapulpa, Oklahoma. I can get this truck turned in, which I'm not at all thrilled about driving, but at least it gets me moving and making some money. I can get it dropped off there because it is a recovery truck. It's an auto shift truck, which I don't like. But let's say it's a money maker, so that's the important thing. Get it there, and then my wife is going to actually meet me in Sapulpa, and we're going to drive back to California together and have a good time doing that. And I'll get my truck back after that. And now, this is assuming that my next load after this one will be something that I can get right back to the terminal with. I don't know for sure, but my DM already knows that that's what's kind of on the least possibly going to be, or what's going on, at least with my truck, with the maintenance. And she knows that that's what I'm going to hope to do after I'm done with this load. So see how that goes. James Ewing, second-degree murder is a lesser crime than first degree and is not typically subject to a death penalty sentence. Yes, correct. And then third degree is less than second degree. But I forget what the dividing line is